And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, watch, comment, keep the comments coming, and share with a friend so we will become too big to stop. And why is it necessary? Well, let me talk to you about this recent update in the case dealing with Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, the Maryland guy who was improperly deported to that El Salvadorian what do you even call it, internment camp? But first, before Trump's presser with President Bukele of El Salvador, Trump was caught on a hot mic. You would think after the Access Hollywood, the Billy Bush scenario, you would think that he wouldn't get caught with a hot mic again. But he gets caught on a hot mic talking about homegrown being next, talking about American citizens who he wants to deport, claiming that they're criminals. Play the clip.
Demanded the people wanted to change their weapons, and they wanted to. He demanded, they love you, they love what you do. No, I'm not for your support. I want him to do, for homegrown criminals next. Yeah. I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrown's built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's fair. All right. It's not big enough. No, yeah. Come on. So this is a much different office.
We're going to go ahead now. We're going to start targeting American citizens that we deem to be criminals. You know who that's going to entail? Lawyers, journalists, people who don't agree with Trump's policies, maybe some politicians, maybe a handful of attorney generals, because there's never any clarity to what he's talking about. But I have an idea. Let's whisper so that the mic doesn't pick it up, right? Even though the mic is sitting right over here, right attached to your neck. Meanwhile, Jesse Waters asks Pam Bondi if this was legal. Play the clip.
Now, the president was musing about sending some of the most horrible people in this country down to that mega prison. You know, people that push ladies into subways and hit old ladies with baseball bats to the head. Is that legal to do? Is that something you're allowed to do?
Well, Jesse, these are Americans who he is saying who have committed the most heinous crimes in our country. And crime is going to decrease dramatically because he has given us a directive to make America safe again. These people need to be locked up as long as they can, as long as the law allows. We're not going to let them go anywhere. And if we have to build more prisons in our country, we will do it.
Right. That's what I thought. And now...
Right. That's what I thought. Meanwhile, here's the thing. It's not the question, Pam Bondi. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is caught on a hot mic telling President Bukele of El Salvador, where they now have this max prison, this, I don't even know what the hell you call that facility, to build more because he intends on deporting American citizens. Now, here's the thing. It's not a question of, if you hit an old lady with a baseball bat, sure, you should go to jail, and you should go to jail forever as far as I'm concerned. If you push somebody in front of a train, yes, I totally agree. But here's the problem. We're already watching deportation, for example, of students, of journalists at a student, like the young lady from Tufts, under the concept of an illegal protest, which, by the way, is a non-defined term. That's the danger. When you're talking about crimes, Trump has a very different understanding and set of rules. Now, Tom Homan was also on Fox. Of course, I mean, if you're going to spread propaganda, no other better place to do it, and asked about plans to deport these U.S. citizens. Play the clip.
Can you describe who would fall into that category and what the president was referring to there, Tom?
You know, Martha, I don't know. I haven't had that discussion with the president. I've been on the road. I just got home like an hour ago, so I haven't had a discussion with the president or the DHS secretary, so I'm going to have to pass on that question.
Okay, that's fine. It sort of came out of nowhere, the question, so I wondered if you knew something that we didn't know.
Yeah. Not only does he not know, nobody knows, because it's the concept of a plan. Now, as we saw from President Bukele's statement yesterday, he doesn't plan to bring Garcia back to the United States. They're going to defy the Supreme Court order as well as the lower federal court order. But this is what Pam Bondi had to say about that. Play the clip.
Yet his attorneys are saying he's not affiliated with the gang. They're wrong, and he has no right to be there. But for an extra step in paperwork, just like you said, he would go right back to El Salvador, which is his home country, where he belongs. And President Bukele does not want to give him back to the United States, nor do we want him back.
Right, so that's it. Bukele.
That's it. That's it. By the way, there is no, at least look, maybe Pam Bondi has some information that the rest of us don't have. Maybe he is a gang affiliate of Tren de Aragua or MS-13. I suspect that if in fact that was true, despite what the DOJ has already said, they would have released proof instead of allowing this to fester, instead of allowing this to be basically the top story trending right now on all social media. It's also the beginning of every single news hour as you watch news, regardless of what station you're even watching. Now, Bondi also complained to Jesse Waters about the district judges. Play that clip.
Well, Jesse, it was a win. What the court also said was that these district judges do not have the right to interfere with the executive branch's ability to conduct foreign affairs, meaning President Trump's ability to do business with foreign nations, and they can't do that. What they also said is just facilitate, meaning if he wanted a plane flight, we could give him a plane flight, but we cannot effectuate it, meaning making it happen, which is what the district court had originally ruled. It was a win. It was a win today. And Jesse, you know, when you're listening to all these liberal reporters, they keep calling him a Maryland man. He's not a Maryland man. He's part of a foreign terrorist organization. He's a member of MS-13.
No, again, show us the proof. By the way, Pam, if hypothetically what you're saying is accurate, which, by the way, you know it's not, if in fact it was accurate, no problem. Leave him there with the other MS-13 gangsters. But I suspect, again, it's just not true. And of course, you can't have stupidity taking place without Stephen Miller going on Fox to discuss Garcia. And he as well outright lies and says that he was not mistakenly deported. And again, for the third time, I'm going to repeat it. The DOJ has already admitted that it was a mistake. Play the clip.
Is Gitmo still open? Are there any illegal immigrants who have been taken to Guantanamo Bay today, or has that prison been closed?
No, it's wide open. Gitmo is open. There are a number of foreign terrorist aliens that are being housed at Gitmo, awaiting final removal to another destination. But what I want to be very clear on,
Can you tell me how
Bill,
many?
No, I cannot. That's operationally sensitive information.
Dozens or more?
It's a large number. The exact number is operationally sensitive to do with military and other considerations relating to the security of those who are there and the security of those who are operating the facility. But I want to be very, very clear about this, Bill. We've been living through a hoax. Nobody was mistakenly sent to El Salvador. He was ordered deported from this country in 2019. He's an illegal alien. His home nation is El Salvador. That is where he belongs.
Once again, I think you need to speak to the DOJ there, Steve. And last night on CNN, Abby Phillips, she brought up an interesting point about Marco Rubio's background. This is interesting. Play the clip.
Striking.
Federal court.
Yeah,
No.
they have not. They've said, as you pointed out, that it was a mistake. It was striking to me to see Marco Rubio in the Oval Office today defending all of this, because this is a flashback from when he had written a book about his family, and there was a biography written about him. Rubio's grandfather was ordered deported when he came to this country, and ultimately actually was not deported. He was in the country illegally, was not deported, and was retroactively given some form of asylum, which all that is to say, he took advantage of a process that existed for him, just like many of these immigrants do. Maybe they are in the country illegally, but they go to a judge and they make their case, and that's a process. It was a process that worked for Marco Rubio's grandfather. It was a process that worked for him, and he's sitting there in the Oval Office now saying that process should not be available to everybody.
Well, two issues.
Yeah, and again, this is just hypocrisy at its best. Finally, Jen Psaki asks Hakeem Jeffries what Democrats can do to compel the government to bring Garcia home. Play the clip.
What, if any, power, for people who are watching at home, do you have? What power do you have and other Democratic members to compel, push the government to bring him home?
Well, we have the power to shape public sentiment, and at the end of the day, making sure that public sentiment in this case understands that the treatment of Mr. Abrego Garcia, is unconscionable, unacceptable, and un-American. And if it can happen here, it can happen anywhere. And it's going to be incredibly important for every member of Congress. Certainly, we plan to do this on the Democratic side, both in the House and in the Senate, to intensify the pressure on the Trump administration to comply with the Supreme Court's directive, and the Supreme Court and/or the federal district court actually needs to enforce its order.
Yeah, let me be very clear, Hakeem. You can't do shit. You know why you can't do shit? Because we, Democrats, the voters out there, all right, we didn't get out to the polls in large enough numbers. You blew the opportunity to keep the House, to turn the Senate, to keep the White House. You know who it's up to? It's up to us. It's up to us, which is why I say, please, share this with one friend. Tell them, join this community, join the conversation. And again, we will become so big in terms of numbers that we cannot be ignored. Like the old too big to fail. We will be so big, we cannot be ignored, regardless of whether it's a ruby red district or it's a deep blue town. It makes no difference, all right? It is going to be up to us, and we have some time. We don't have a lot, but we have time because it's the midterm elections. We're all going to right now have to just deal with this bullshit day in and day out from this administration and the lies, the non-stop perpetual lies by each and every one of them. But please, share this. Let's build this community so that we cannot be ignored. When 2026 midterms roll around, it becomes the blue wave that you listen to, our leaders talking about on behalf of the Democratic Party. We need to take this by our own hand and not leave it up to them. And with that, I say, as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. We're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.